Rugby union runs for 80 minutes. The All Blacks play it for 79 minutes, 64 seconds. Everyone else plays it for 70 and hope they can last the last 10. They run on the paddock expecting to win. We don't run onto the paddock expecting to win with our breed, and that's the core thing we've got to change with our cattle, with our shorthorn cattle and our people. We've got to turn them into dreamers of the day. So how do we do that? That to a great extent is done through the power of the internet. Whether we like it or not, and whatever you say about the internet, don't worry about it, it's here. I had a client the other day, a gentleman 80 odd, and he was worried when he turned his computer on, he got on the internet, he might wreck the internet. And I said, well, it's designed to withstand a nuclear war, so don't worry about your computer. But we ignore it at our absolute peril. Now up on the screen there, you can have a look at the country you've come from. These are the figures on internet usage that have gone from 2000 to 2012. Bearing in mind the internet basically became a public utility around about 1994-95. So there's been enormous jumps in internet usage. The one lagging behind there is South Africa, which hasn't grown that much. But you look at some of the other countries, we've all taken it. The internet is part and parcel. Dame Jenny was saying this morning about in China, where they get on the iPhones and start ferreting out stuff. You know, 350 million people use an iPhone. Just incredible. To me, one of the light bulb moments for me last year was with the Drovers Journal, which now goes to just on 1,000 people around the world. And looking at the program I use is called MailChimp, and you can actually look behind it and see who opened it, how often they opened it, and what they looked at, etc. And I don't know why, but I assumed incorrectly that because we're basically involved in primary production, we wouldn't be as speedy as real estate agents or whatever else on the use of iPhones. 61% of the people open the Drovers Journal on their iPhone. Now, I thought they would have gone to their computer, but they just, Sunday morning, they pick it up. It's interesting just on that on Sunday morning. Why it's Sunday morning? I had a phone call last year from this craggy old voice on the end of the phone, rang me up and he said, I'm not happy. I said, oh, why not Drovers Journal? Oh God, here we go, because my problem is I type something and hit the send button before I read it. And I said, what did I say? He said, no, it's not what you did, what you said, it's what you did. And I said, well, what did I do? He said, I got it on Saturday night. And Sam, my wife, and I were going somewhere early Sunday morning, so I'll blow it, I'll send it Saturday night, she'll be right. So I said, is that a problem? He said, of course it's a bloody problem. He said, that's why I'm ringing you. He said, because the wife and I, we get up on Sunday morning, he said, we go around the cattle, we get back about 10 o'clock, we put the kettle on, turn on the computer, and there's the Drovers Journal. He said, it arrives Saturday night, you buggered our Sunday. So it's Sunday morning it is, and I've got a subscriber in Montana, God bless him. He's one of the first people to read it, so it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, in Montana when it hits his computer. So anyway, I'll have a rum or two with him one day talking about it. But as you can see, the internet usage it runs our life. It absolutely runs our life, and yet we ignore it at our peril, and I don't think we do a very good job on it collectively. So let's get on to that first of all, the key ingredients for utilising the internet for the shorthorn breed. There are 3 parts. They're websites, email and video. That's the end of the exercise, the websites. All right, so the websites then are split up between shorthorn breeds associations, societies and individual members. And I probably spend, I don't know, 7 to 10 hours a week trolling shorthorn websites around the world, especially from November through till March, because not a lot's happening in the shorthorn business in Australia in that time because we're on Christmas holidays or whatever else. And I've got to say, by and large, they're atrocious. They really are. And when it comes to individual members of the above, I'm honestly stunned, and my other role is a livestock auctioneer. I'm absolutely stunned how few stud breeders have either their own website or, as I'll talk about later, on their database. You know, fellas, ladies, unless you're in the game, you're not going anywhere. And I don't know what the figures are. I'm not even sure what the figures are in Australia, but very few studs have their own website. If they do have their own website, as I looked at one the other day, and it was on the front of the home page, it said last updated November 2009. So what's that say to me as someone who's looking at the website? Yeah, basically the bloke couldn't give a rat's ass about it. He's got it on there because he meant to have a website. But this is a prime marketing tool to us, a prime marketing tool, be it breed societies or individual studs. So for goodness sake, you know, look at it closely. So what are the critical features of a website? And there are 3 of them. What's in it for them? You know, what is in it for someone who's looking at the website? All too often websites are designed with what I call the blue suit complex. It's like wearing a blue suit and wetting your pants. It gives you a warm feeling but no one notices. And too many websites are designed for the website owner, not the person who's accessing it. And they've got to be simple to navigate. You know, it's a critical part of it. And I've got to say, the majority of Shorthorn sites, you know, Christopher Columbus couldn't find his way, although he did know where he was going when he got there anyway. But majority of sites are extraordinarily hard to navigate. They really are. And they're current and kept up to date, as I said about the fellow stud that was last updated in 2009. This is critical that you update it. And a website is not an expensive exercise. It can be all the bells and whistles, but one of the problems that we've got in Australia, which the NBN National Broadband Network that's supposedly coming in, and my mate in Montana's got, is you got slow download speeds because you're at the end of the line, so I accept that. But having said that, if a lot of your clients have got the slow updates, make your website less complicated, but have it there and make it about people. You know, one of the things I learnt with the Drovers Journal, which I originally formed as the breed magazine for Santa Gertrudis, and fellas would get stuck into me because I'd put a photo in there of 3 or 4 people on the head of the bull that someone's just paid $30,000 for a bull. And the stud master would get all excited and upset because the bull wasn't in there. And I'd say, but I've never seen a bull buy a copy of the magazine yet. You know, you'll put a paddock of Shorthorn bulls and cows together and they're going to do what they're going to do, which is punch out calves. It's the human component of it that is the critical part to it. So why don't we use photos more of people on there? Why don't we have stories of people more on our websites? You know, it's just, to me, it's logical because they're the ones who are going to make the decision. And everyone wants to be loved. I don't care how crook you are. They want to be loved. And one of the things about us in the stud stock industry or pedigreed stock industry is it wouldn't be unusual if I said to any of you, I saw your name or photo in a local paper in your country, in England, Canada, America, whatever, because that's our business of being in the paper. The average yogi doesn't get his name or her name in the paper or the photo in the paper. So if you said to someone, oh, look, you know, I saw your photo in the Drovers Journal, the quietest person in the world will sneak off the toot by the end of the day, the toilet, and open up to see where his name's mentioned. That's how it operates. And we had a page when the Drovers Journal was done as a paper magazine called the Ladies page, and I'd take 6 or 7 photos of ladies at whatever event I was at, and it was all done in pink and whatever. And it was nothing to sell 30 copies sometimes to a lady who'd been in that page, because she wanted to send it to all her kids and grandkids and whatever else. So it's all about relating to people. So they're the 3 things you've got to be doing with it. With your email bulletins to members and interested groups. And Bert, I'm pleased to see with your latest one coming out. That's good move, good move. And internal and external communication. Look, this is the critical part of it. The internet, we've talked about websites, but the biggest usage for the internet is really emails at the moment, or texting if you can't spell. Isn't it atrocious? Hey? Unbelievable. I'll tell you how this is getting off cattle, but how out of whack the world's getting. We advertised last year for a girl to become our receptionist. Yeah, not the highest paid position in the country. And 7 of the 11 turned up with their CV being Facebook. End of story. I said, beg your pardon? Oh, here's my Facebook page. I said, well, that's great, but what about the job? Oh, no, she said, that's my reference. Oh, Jesus, here we go. Anyway, so it's a whole educational process, and I think, I think it might have been Frank was saying earlier on today about the younger people in the UK. We've got to start tapping into them. In America, the big youth market, Australia's got a big youth market. But e-bulletins are absolutely critical to you, and I just do not follow why pedigreed breeders don't have an ever-expanding database. I really don't. There's absolutely no reason why. And don't give me all the bullshit about, oh, it's too complicated. Find someone that can do it. It's not hard to do. Because these are the people that supply the income to you. So why wouldn't you communicate with them? Now, I don't know what the figures are in Shorthorns in Australia, and likewise I don't know overseas as well, but I would bet that the majority of breeders don't have an active database. I'll have a run with you later, Bert, and we'll talk about that. But why wouldn't you? Why is every time someone's bought a bull from you, why wouldn't you get their name, telephone number, their address and their email address? Now, I'm also involved in selling real estate property. So everyone that comes through an open house or a farm open, we get the name, telephone number and email database. And they get put on the list for the Drover's Journal equivalent is called the Drum. And I've got nearly 3,000 people on that get something from me every Tuesday morning. And that gets me a lot of business. So why wouldn't you people be doing that same thing to your stud clients? You know, Billy Bloggs from Waka Waka Rocker or wherever it is in New Zealand might only buy one bull every 2 years, but he's going to talk to someone else about someone else. And a great example of that sort of marketing goes back to the 1970s with Rick Pizzaturo. He had a bull called Mandalong Royal Ambassador. It was one of the better bulls of the breed as you look at our breed's history in Australia. But that bull first appeared as a little calf's head sticking out of a lump of grass. It appeared in the old Pole Shorthorn newsletter, and it was saying, this is going to be a champion bull. His name is Mandalong Royal Ambassador. End of story. When he was 3 months old, there's another photo appeared. When he was 6 months old, 12 months, by the time that bull got to be in Sydney show ring, it would have been someone who was gamer than Horatio Nelson to put him down the line. But he created the market for his bull. So why don't you people create the market for your cattle? You know, the digital photo. You know, Ian, isn't it? Yeah, Ian and his wife come onto my stud property. So why wouldn't I take and buy a bull? Why wouldn't I take a photo of Ian? Where for your Waipakarau or somewhere like that, one of these places? That'll do, yeah. Like Wagga Wagga, mate. So why wouldn't I take a photo of you and your wife and put that on my database and send it to everybody saying that Ian and his wife had just bought a bull from me? Chances are that someone knows Ian. So Ian then talks to them about, well, what do you think of Tony Fountain's cattle? Oh, mate, they were great. So what's that doing? It's promoting our breed. But no, we have a bloody box full of cards or computer with hardly any names in it, and then sit around and bloody moan like Kilkenny cats about why business is crook. You know, make it happen for Christ's sake. Like a football, kick it. Have a go with it. Have a go, you mug. Sounds like the Australian cricket team. Geez, they're going well, aren't they? Oh, I tell you, my God, there's not many Shorthorns in India, not many bloody good Australian cricketers either. And they can't even blame Delhi Belly. They can't even see the ball. Anyway, that's another issue. Another issue. An internal and external communication. So just put up on the screen that these are three of the examples we currently use. The two of them to the top and the bottom are to do with shorthorn beef, and the middle one's the Drover's Journal. So the one on the top right, that goes off to all the members of the Shorthorn Society. There's about 400 odd of them. So anytime anything happens, that goes out to them. The middle one is the Drover's Journal, which I send out every Sunday morning, which you just heard about why. And the far one, for those who are unfamiliar with it, in Australia and New Zealand we have a pretty rare industry called the Stock and Station Agency, which is a combination of auctioneers, livestock selling people, etc., and rural property. It's all boxed into one industry called Stock and Station. And that one there is, what's it called? Agents and Shorthorns and agents. So anytime anything positive happens, and this is a very influential group, because they're the ones that really get a lot of clients into Angus cattle. Because someone says, what sort of bull would I buy? The agent doesn't want to argue with anybody, says, make it a black one. Boom, bang, bought an Angus bull when he should have bought a Shorthorn. So what we've done with that is that goes off at the moment to probably 20% of people it should be going to. We've got to pull our finger out and increase that database. And what I'm doing with that is also not only using it to promote Shorthorns, but using it to promote the agent. So if you read one of these, it'll have on the bottom that Detroit sale was run by Landmark, and Peter someone or other was the listing agent. So he then, same again, he then reads that. Chances are he'll forward that to a couple of his friends because he got himself on an email. Now, once we get agents coming back to us and doing that, you know, we're starting to move forward. So in your case in Canada and in America, maybe this is something you'll be doing with your contract auctioneers, I don't know. And Frank, with the crowd that run at Sterling, your bull sale in Sterling, maybe it's worthwhile talking to them to see if you can get access, or not access, be able to send out an email to their database about what's happened with Shorthorns in the UK. I mean, all these things are possible and you can create them overnight. We've got another one that I haven't got up on there, which we're just sending off now to feedlotters. Shorthorns in Australia, and without preempting Richard's talk after me, probably thank me for this. Shorthorns are having a very good run with feedlot competitions in Australia. So obviously we need to be getting to feedlot operators the technical information on why they should be buying Shorthorn blood. Now, at the moment there's a premium in Australia for Angus beef over Shorthorn beef, which is ridiculous. But if you want to sell to EU quality, there's no price between Angus and Shorthorn. So obviously we're trying to get our people into EU as well. But this is a prime means of dissemination of that information. Video, and this is where the future's going to be, team. I'll tell you right now. Downloads in Australia are tipped to rise by 500% by 2017, up from 86 million to 442 million. And we talk about youth. This is the part that's going to capture your youth market, where it gets put on, ASA website or Shorthorn Beef website or whatever. Kids can download that 30-second clip or a minute and a half clip of them at a junior show at Missouri or Victoria or Alberta or wherever. That's the stuff that gets them in, because they literally just pull out the old iPhone, press the button, and they watch themselves on a video. And that's where it's coming to. Simple as that. And so then in America, people watching on mobiles or cell phones has grown by 205%, and it's over 10% of the population. That's 30-odd million people. Now, I'd reckon, I don't know, another couple of years, that's probably going to be 25 or 30% or more. So this is what we've got to be being able to produce. One of the things I'd love to see with our website in Australia is with the members section, where if you go into the members section now, it just has statistical data from ABRI. Boring as batshit. What we should have on there is segments in there where there are videos. So if you want to become a member, why don't we give them quality information? So why don't we have on that website, and maybe worthwhile you looking at, is so the members click in with their membership number. They can either look breeding information through ABRI or other bodies. They can look at training videos. We all here know probably how roughly to teach a calf to lead. Your point, Bert, was so many people aren't cattle owners in the traditional sense that are now part of your society. How many of them would know how to teach a calf to lead? Or simple things that we grew up knowing to do. So why don't we put a training video on there? You go into any technical product to see how to fly it, an iPhone or a printer or whatever, that company will have somewhere a short video that takes you through how to do it. So why don't we do the same? Now, we can all go, oh, it's all bullshit, we're getting too old for this, all that crap. We don't have that choice. We've either, as my old man used to say, either piddle or get off the pot. And we're going to make this stuff happen. It's how it goes, and it's that content that's the critical part of it. And the key to all of that is data. Data is dollars, simple as that. There should be everyone, be it a stud breeder or a organisation, to have an ever-increasing database. The reason Amazon.com is worth squillions is not because they yet to make a decent profit, it's because they've probably got God knows how many millions of people on their database. So whoever bought Amazon, which is unlikely, they would pick up that database. And we need that every time you meet someone. You've got to be swapping business cards, says he hardly brought any. Get their information, put them on the database, they get an email, thanks very much, put you on my database. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely critical. So how do we go about the data collection? Same way as we build membership, by working with states or divisions at bull sales, having that information. They just fill in their name and their email address. Bang, they go on the database for your e-bulletins or whatever it may be. Notification of whatever's happened. Because see, the thing that controls all of this is a word called delete. The consumer now has the power. If they don't like it, they go, hit the delete button, you're gone. Simple as that. So unless, and I honestly, with the Drover's Journal, I know when I've done something that went all right and something that was a gutser, because I look at the hit rate, and sometimes I've either got a bit excited and said the wrong thing, or it wasn't that much interest and people haven't clicked on it, because everything I have on the Drover's Journal has a hyperlink. Not everything, but sales, etc. have a hyperlink. So you can look at that, and if for some reason they haven't clicked on whatever the point was, then did I make the point well enough, or was there just no interest in it? And you can do the same sort of testing yourselves, and it's not hard to do at all. But we've got to be out all the time thinking data. How do we collect data? How do we do it? And you might think an exercise at a local show, just having some girls there or a couple of breeders there with a pad for people to fill in their name and email address, is a waste of time. It's not a waste of time if you've got names, because they're people where it is a waste of time is if you get the names, you don't do anything with them. Then it's a complete waste of time. In short, we build our market share, and I think that to me is what it's all about. The two issues I think confront and tomorrow I've got to give the final speech. We're now for Shorthorns, and I'm still working on that because I'm loving to talk to you people. But I think the two key issues we've got is change of culture and our market share. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're selling cattle, you're selling these little gadgets or motor cars. Market share is what dictates your success. So unless it's going up, you're not going anywhere. All businesses do one or two things. They either grow or they shrink. They never sit still. And we've got to be aware of that. So data or market share is what we've really got to be doing and testing it and finding it. The internet's the major tool in that process, and we ignore it at our peril. We really do. We've just got to embrace it, because unless we do that, and what I would ask you to do is, go back and look at websites after, when you get home to wherever it is. Go and spend a couple of hours on the internet and look up websites and look up Shorthorn websites and just see what you think, and just use them as you would use them. That comes back to my question, what's in it for them? We make them too difficult. Some of the sites are horrendous to try and get. I give up on them because you can't get the information out of it. For stud breeders who are here, all your basic web page has got to be as a home page, which it's about us. Invariably, it's a family history or whatever. It's got bulls that you got for sale, a bit of a story on your herd, what females you got for sale, and how to contact me. So don't be shy about putting your email address on your website, because that's internet people don't have patience. Doesn't exist in them. They want to go boom boom and make it happen. So on your contact page, make that page easy to fill in. So either you click on the email address and your email form on Outlook or whatever it is will open up and you can type away on it, or you fill in the form and send the thing. But then also have a segment in there, and your internet provider or designer can do it for you for your video, because this is a critical part of it. And one of the things that I hope to do before I go back tomorrow afternoon is do interviews with people on this iPhone, which has been a revelation to me. I've just bought a little gadget and it sits on there, and we park that there and sit 4 feet away from it and do an interview. If you just go on the internet and type in Tony Fountain, you'll see a heap of interviews that I've done on that, on real estate as well as cattle. That's how simple it is today. So there is no excuse not to be part of it. And if you find it all complicated, I'd say get out of it, because you haven't got a future. Simple as that. We either got to get up with it and run with it, or get out. And this breed has got such a future if we handle it properly. Every box you tick for making $1 or a peso or Royale or whatever out of beef, Shorthorns will do it for you. Trouble is, we tell ourselves, we don't tell the world that well. Now let's change all that. That's it.
Yeah, time's up. So. Well, thank Tony for his speech, and main point I got out of it was data is dollars, so yeah. I think that's most important. So
yeah, no, it is simple as that.
Just take a seat here for now, please, and
well, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, 6 weeks moving into a stock feed company, and it's a drought, so it's been pretty tough. So obviously UK's had it, we've been having it, so I don't really want to talk about selling feed at the moment. We're struggling a little bit, like most of our suppliers are out there. So what I thought I'd do is just talk a little bit about me. I live in Uruguay, which is a little town about 40 minutes west of here, with my wife and kids. And we've got a little lifestyle block there. My dad always reminds me it's probably more a life sentence block, more than a lifestyle block. I guess for me, moving into this role, I've got a real passion for the industry, and so I thought what I'd do is share with you about where it all begins, and what we do at Ingham's is way more than just selling feed. We like to educate as well. So I thought if you wouldn't mind me running through our calf rearing presentation that we do with all our local stores and the guys we get to sit down in front of on dairy farms or calf rearing, and just as a little bit of a reminder. And I think just going back a little bit too, listening to your speech on getting information, it's something that we're always trying to do when we sit down with someone, grab their email address, their phone number, their address, so we can get a better understanding and clear communication with our customers. So it's really important in any industry. Okay, just quickly a little bit about Ingham's Feed and Nutrition. We're a stock